Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our webinar entitled Sky's the Limit with SOAR. I'm Shri Sheth. I'll be your moderator today. We're excited to partner with our Prisma counterparts for a webinar focused on cloud security use cases. If you've joined our use case webinars in the past, you know they're packed with tips, so get excited. Just a quick review of housekeeping items before we begin. You can type your questions in the right-hand area of the GoToWebinar platform, and we will try to answer as many as time permits. This session will be recorded. I saw somebody ask that question earlier, so don't fret. We will send you an email with the recording and any relevant links following this webinar, most likely tomorrow, so keep an eye out. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our speakers, Parth Shah and Prasen Scheller. Parth is a UCLA computer science graduate who loves design, engineering, planning, and talking. Because of his interests, the PM team thought he would be the perfect fit, and we agree. Parth drives GCP, UI UX, and the core platform for Prisma Cloud. And now for our second speaker, an entrepreneur at heart, Prasen brings both left brain rationale and right brain creativity to the Demisto PM team. In his spare time, if he has any, Prasen likes to worship at the altar of Sachin Tendulkar and recite 1993 to 1994 cricket batting averages from memory. Prasen's dazzling 100-watt smile is enough to make the Mona Lisa turn her head and Demisto playbooks stop in their tracks. Well, what a bio. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Parth now, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Parth, and I'm a product manager for Prisma Cloud. I'll start by giving everyone an overview of what Prisma Cloud does. So if we take a step back, as we all know, cloud is changing the world. All the startups that we see coming out left, right, and center, the cloud has made it possible. And why is that? Well, cloud is driving application modernization. 80% of enterprise applications today are cloud-enabled or cloud-native. Over the last 5 odd years, we've seen containers go mainstream, Docker, Kubernetes, and by 2020, 50% of the enterprises will be using containers or serverless functions. And finally, multi-cloud adoption is becoming a norm. Just about most customers in Prisma Cloud have at least 2, if not all 3 clouds. And according to some statistics, 81% of cloud users leverage more than 2 clouds. So, even though the cloud is extremely scalable and it allows so much flexibility, there are problems when it comes to security. Firstly, each cloud service provider has their own tools for how to manage security for their platforms, and even these tools are disparate and not connected, which makes managing security very, very difficult if you're a single cloud customer and extremely difficult if you're a multi-cloud customer. And so what a lot of customers do is they have a lot of DIY projects, whether they want to manage identity and access management or they want to manage misconfigurations. We've seen examples of customers try this on their own. There are a lot of open source tools out there as well, but again, the coverage by a lot of these open source tools and even the support is lacking. And finally, we've seen a lot of security products in the industry. I mean, whenever I go to, what's the conference in April? It's RSA. It sometimes feels like a Ponzi scheme. There's way too many security products, and each product focuses on one use case. But as a security specialist, you kind of want to manage all things security in one location. And so, introducing Prisma Cloud. Prisma Cloud's primary goal is to really protect every single resource in the cloud across the entire application lifecycle across any cloud. Today, we support AWS, Alibaba, GCP, and Microsoft Azure, and we actually allow customers to fix things as early as in their CI/CD lifecycle and down to the developer level, which I will walk you through just shortly. And so before I jump into what Prisma Cloud is, Palo Alto Networks has made a lot of great acquisitions in the past 16 to 18 months. And I just wanted to level set what Prisma Cloud is. In 2018, Palo Alto Networks acquired Evident.io. That's what we call CSPM 1.0. CSPM is Cloud Security Posture Management. Here, customers could manage their configurations and compliance in the cloud. Then in 2018, towards the end of the year, they acquired Redlock, for which I was one of the founding engineers. And Redlock is what we defined as CSPM 2.0. Redlock supported this configuration and compliance monitoring, but on top of it, they also monitored your cloud audit logs and your VPC flow logs. And that helped introduce the network threat detection and UEBA capabilities. Then last year, we acquired two companies in the cloud workload protection platform space. We acquired Twistlock and we acquired PureSec. Twistlock was focused primarily on containers, but also on serverless, and PureSec was 100% focused on serverless security. And over the past year, 2019 was an exciting year. We took all of these great products and we combined it into a singular platform, which is now Prisma Cloud. And that's what we call CNSP, the Cloud Native Security Platform, which covers all facets of public cloud. And so Prisma Cloud has 8 pillars. We have visibility, where we allow customers to see what they have in the cloud using an asset inventory and even showing them the history of how assets have changed over time. You can't protect what you can't see. And so often the first step for a lot of customers is getting that visibility in the cloud. The configuration assessment, we support lots of IaaS and PaaS services. On the compliance front, we support over 15 different compliance standards in the cloud and many more to come. On the network security and IAM security front, using your cloud audit logs and your VPC flow logs, we help you visualize your network flow traffic and also help you see if there's any anomalies on the IAM space, whether you have access key credential compromise or something of that sort. On the workload security front, everything that Twistlock brings to the table comes in, where we help protect not only containers in runtime, but even scanning images in your CI/CD lifecycle. On the data security front, we scan your S3 buckets, we classify your data, and we can even help you find any malware that may exist in your S3 buckets, for example. And finally, on the automated response front, Prisma Cloud does simple CLI-based remediation, but I'm very, very excited to let you know that we now have a beautiful integration with Demisto, which really takes our automated response to the next level.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to hand it off to Prasan.
Cool. It's like a match made in heaven, right, Parth?
100%.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the wonderful overview, Parth. So now that we've looked into Prisma Cloud, let's take a look at Demisto and the way it helps to orchestrate and automate. I mean, Prisma Cloud is a great tool for monitoring cloud resources, but we need to understand, why do we need a SOAR tool here? That's security orchestration and automation response for you. So this slide itself makes me dizzy. The reality and complexity of security operations, right? The usual question I love asking to all the security professionals is, so how many CRMs do you have in your organization? Maybe 1, 2? How many payment solutions do you have in your organization? Again, the answer would be not more than 2, right? But if you ask them how many security tools they have in their org, and then the answer would be more than 12 or 20 or even 30 at times. And that's the problem, right? You can also look at the slide. Security investigation is not that straightforward. It's complicated. So many personas, CISOs, network guys, threat intel. So in order to take even just investigate one particular use case like phishing, access, malware, authentication, it would take more than 40, 50 minutes if it's done manually, because there are so many pieces, moving pieces here and there. And that's a challenge. Alert fatigue, lack of time, and transferring context from one product to another. So then what do we have? We have Demisto, a tool which can act as a single pane of glass for all your security alerts. It can ingest data from different security products. We have more than 300 integrations with the security products, and you can get these incidents. It's a bidirectional integration. Once you ingest data, you can also take actions using the same products. We're not trying to replace any product. We're just trying to utilize the same products that you have in your stack right now and create a workflow using it. So you can respond and automate using a concept called playbooks. So the same set of actions that you have in your workflow or in your SOC right now, which is done manually, can now be automated using playbooks. And of course, you can collaborate and learn. So we just don't have headless automation. We just don't run playbooks on top of incidents we get, but we also have a comprehensive way of dealing with these security alerts. So we have incident management. You can see the alerts coming in, and you can also collaborate and learn with your peers. So if there are any actions that you need to take manually, aside from the actions that are configured in your playbook, you can take those real time, and all this could be done with Demisto. So now we know about Prisma Cloud and Demisto. Let's talk about the joint solution, the reason we are all here for. Before scenario. So I actually want to ask Parth the question here. Parth,
Sure.
so you've spent a lot of time in the cloud world, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've seen security investigations when it comes to cloud. So what is the usual way of responding or investigating these cloud alerts? What do you think?
Well, as we talk to a lot of customers, everything is on a case-by-case basis. It's almost as if everything is 100% manual. And here's where, we've interviewed a lot of customers and SOC teams, and we really see that there's two classes of issues.
Okay.
On one end of the spectrum, you have what we call risks, or
Okay.
some people call it vulnerabilities. Me leaving my door unlocked is a risk.
Right.
But when some intruder comes in and steals my TV, that right there is an incident. And so we have risks and we have incidents. And oftentimes we see risks are assigned to account owners, whereas incidents are what SOC teams investigate. And oftentimes a lot of customers have fully manual flows, and our goal is to help our customers, at least on the configuration front or risks front, fully automate their solution, and on the incident front, work with an amazing tool like Demisto to help our customers have repeatable steps so they can semi-automate the investigation workflow.
Right. So all of this is manual right now.
Yes.
So as a person who's investigating these cloud security alerts, I have to do it manually.
Manually, and it's daunting.
Yeah,
Oftentimes you get thousands of alerts, and now you have to figure out which one you want to triage first.
So even if you have like a great tool like Prisma Cloud, right, which is capable of monitoring these cloud alerts, you still have to do this manually, and there's disparate security infrastructure, not defined process and stuff like that. So that's the problem, right? I mean, you see SecOps in the middle here. There are so many tools that you need to work with again, so many teams you have to work with for investigating one particular or these type of cloud security alerts. And that's the scenario we're trying to address here in this presentation. So after scenario, so now you know that alerts are coming in, and you need to, of course, respond to all these alerts. If we have a solution which takes Prisma Cloud and Demisto in picture, the process becomes unified. It becomes standardized. You have Prisma Cloud, which is a unified tool for getting your cloud security alerts, and now you have Demisto, which is capable of ingesting all these alerts and responding and enriching all these alerts in order to complete your security investigation. And because Demisto has more than 300 product integrations, which are on cloud and on-prem as well, you can use any of these tools and create your workflows. And that's what we are trying to do, and that's what we're trying to demo today. The benefit of having orchestrated and automated solution with Prisma Cloud and Demisto. So the value prop, of course, is you have automated workflows, more visibility because all the alerts are coming at one place, and you can use the same product stack that you have in your organization right now, just automate it. So let's come down to the meaty part of our presentation. Let's talk about the use cases. So we're going to demo two major use cases that we have with AWS. Of course, we talked about so many different type of policies before, like anomaly, network, misconfig, but we'll be covering two most commonly seen and easy to understand, I think, relatable use cases in today's presentation. So I think I'll hand it over to Parth, and why don't you start with the first use case?
Awesome. So on the IAM front, IAM is really the security perimeter in the cloud. And there's a lot of challenges with IAM in the cloud. firstly, there's a lack of checks and automation when it comes to managing IAM, making sure we're following the least permission privilege. In an ideal world, we would only give a user as many permissions as they need, but oftentimes that's not the case because it's very hard to enforce that. Additionally, it's hard to enforce access key management, though that's gotten a lot better in the cloud, being able to manage when this key is going to expire, if it even has an expiry, enforcing the fact that every single user is using multi-factor authentication, enforcing that a user is not coming in using their root credentials. It's difficult to do. Furthermore, we see role and permission sprawl. There's over thousands of roles, and each role can have hundreds of permissions each. Some of these have star permissions, other roles have hard-coded specific permissions, and so it's really, really hard to follow the least privilege permission. And see, the thing with risks is it's one thing to leave your door open, but if you did leave it open, how do you ensure to check and see if someone came in and stole something? And so having some sort of anomaly detection that can help you see that, hey, when I left my door open, looking at all the traffic that went in and out of your environment, that too is kind of hard to do in the cloud. And so how we've solved the at least IAM policy misconfiguration problem using Demisto is Demisto ingests IAM policy violations into its platform. And then what Demisto does is it creates an incident, and using the incident, it gets the password policy, it notifies the owner, and we have a great option of whether we want to fully automate the remediation or have a semi-automated remediation where someone has to approve it. And so in this particular case, we look at the automated remediation, and we're able to create a single playbook that's able to remediate multiple policies across Prisma Cloud. And so we'll jump into a quick demo. So here we can see a home screen that helps you see incidents. So now jumping into an incident. So here we're looking at alert number 38, where we can see the IAM password policy allows reuse. And so on this case info tab, we can get high-level information about the case that we received from Prisma Cloud. If we jump into the investigation tab, we can get even finer grained details that we got from the Prisma Cloud platform. And so here we can see that the resource type is the IAM password policy. We can see if the policy is a system default policy. In this case, it is. And so what we can do is if we look at the playbook, what we have done here is we have a playbook where we first check to see, is your IAM integration enabled? If it is, we go fetch the password policy from AWS. And what we do here is we query the IAM get account password policy API. Then we actually are able to look at the metadata related to the password policy. And so what we've done now is if we go to the next step, we can see if we want to update this password policy automatically. What this means is, do I want a fully automated remediation or do I want a semi-automated remediation? If I want a fully automated remediation, we'll go remediate it. If it's semi-automated, in the auto-remediate box, when you click a user, you, for example, will be able to say, yes, I want to remediate this. And on the click of a button, we're going to run the playbook. And so what we do is we get the Prisma Cloud ID, the policy ID, and I'll explain why we get the policy ID in a second. And so once we get the policy ID, we're able to go run a sub playbook. And so the way we've built this sub playbook is we've created one sub playbook that can address a lot of Prisma Cloud policies in one go. And this gives SOC teams or account teams lots of flexibility on how they want to build their playbook. So this beautiful playbook, we get the policy ID, and based on which policy we're looking at, we'll go run the remediation command for that specific policy. So in this particular case, we're looking at password reuse. We call the account IAM password policy update API, and we set the password reuse to be 5. in this case. And as soon as the playbook runs, it will close the case on Demisto. And in Prisma Cloud's next scan, Prisma Cloud's going to pick up the fact that, hey, this has indeed been fixed and everything is kosher again.
Yep.
Cool. Before we quickly jump on, there was a question related to this incident, so I want to touch base.
Sure.
If we could go back to the case info, there's the risk ratings, and this person wants to know where those are coming from. Are they coming from the Prisma product, or are they coming from somewhere else?
So the risk rating is coming from the Prisma Cloud product, so that would be another way to slice and dice your incidents.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, we can move on.
Yep. Okay, great. Thanks, Bart, for the wonderful demo. Now let's talk about EC2 instance misconfiguration, one of the major use cases again, right? And I love this use case personally because it's most relatable and easy to understand, of course. A simple analogy would be like keeping your door open when you're out of your house. And I mean, you expect that shit won't happen, but something might go wrong. I mean, you expect your house to be safe and sound, but shit can go wrong, right? And that's the problem. These are the challenges: lack of visibility. When you're keeping the door open, you have so many endpoints to actually map, difficult to enforce port and security checks. What that means is when you're tracking so many resources, when you're tracking so many instances, it's difficult to have visibility in all of them. And if you're trying to do it manually, oh my God, that's a problem, right? So if you look at the misconfiguration stats, 50% of the orgs have kept their instances open or exposed to the public internet, like network storage devices, applications, APIs. 50% of them are open. And because the domain is moving fast, it's actually growing fast, that's why it's moving fast. So you're changing things, but you don't know what else can be affected. Security only done in runtime. So you don't have these security checks when you're in your development lifecycle. And we need to address all these issues. You're keeping your door open, and now you need to make it airtight, your infrastructure airtight. Let's see how we can do that. And that's just one point, right? I mean, you're keeping your door open is just one point. What happens when you were away? Was there any malicious activity that happened or any IPs that tried to hit your instance when you were out? So basically, you can relate this concept. So what happens in EC2 instance misconfiguration is there's a virtual firewall called security group, and it should only allow a specific range of IPs and ports to be connected. But if it's allowing more than that, and then that's a problem. So when you were out and you kept the door open, let's say a couple of IPs tried to hit your instance and tried to mine Bitcoins using it. What would you do? And that's a problem. So keeping your instance closed and only to restrict it to a particular range of IPs, that's one problem. But you also need to investigate and automate on the things that happened when you were out. So a lot of challenges, right? I mean, if you try to do this manually for all the instances you have, it's going to be troublesome. So let's first try and understand how we can close it, how we can actually remove all the ingress rules. So in EC2 instance misconfiguration, you can ingest these alerts through Prisma Cloud, as we saw. An incident is created. So for all the alerts, one major problem again here is understanding which bucket does this alert fall under. Like if you have an EC2 instance, it should have a specific incident type, which is EC2 instance misconfig in Demisto as well. And based on that incident type, you want a specific playbook to run. So you first need to figure out, once an incident is created, you try to figure out the misconfig type, because even in EC2 incident misconfig, there are so many different type of alerts, like which are related to internet ports or security groups. So you first notify the owner, sending him an email saying that, okay, this particular alert was received, do you want to remediate or not? And if they want to auto-remediate, they can either choose one of the sub-playbooks to run, which could be internet ports. So security group allows internet traffic to TCP port. It could be UDP as well. You can also build a playbook for common ports. And the other playbook could be for security groups, which is security instance group misconfig. Let's take a look at these two playbooks. So this is EC2 security group misconfiguration. 3 types of checks we're doing here. There could be default security group that does not restrict all traffic, or your security group that you created allows all internet traffic. And then, of course, one more security group that's permissive to all traffic. And now what happens when you check these conditions, you need to remove or revoke these security group ingress rules. So what basically happens here in general, what basically happens in general is just to make sure we can make this playbook more complicated, of course. We can add multiple actions. We can add on-prem devices, ticketing systems, and stuff like that. You need to, but we're just trying to show some of the use cases which are simple to understand and relatable. Again, the similar playbook to that would be TCP port, again, revoking the public TCP ingress rules. The same set of actions are taken. We're trying to understand the TCP rules that were used, IP permissions that were used, and then revoking all of them. So let's go through a quick demo. Okay, cool. Also, an important thing to understand is, you can see the dashboard here. So when the incidents are coming in, you have a nice dashboard with whatever widgets you want. You can, of course, create different dashboards for different type of personas you have, like a SOC manager will have a different dashboard than a SOC analyst, or a cloud ops guy, or a DevOps guy. And based on the incidents you're getting, you can have your own widgets, and you can see the alerts coming in. So as an analyst who's investigating these alerts, what you need to do is just sit back, create your workflows, and see the alerts getting remediated. And that's all you can see on the dashboard. Let's look at the incident screen now. And we got an alert recently, which was AWS security group allows inner traffic. A similar alert to what we saw with IAM, you have a custom layout. So when an alert comes in from Prisma Cloud, the same raw JSON blob can be actually translated to a custom layout in Demisto. So you can have your own fields, and the fields are mapped to the data that's coming in from Prisma Cloud. So you can monitor and actually modify the case details, Prisma Cloud alert summary, and all this information, whatever information you want in your case information. And same goes for the investigation tab. All the relevant pieces are actually added to this piece here in an investigation. So you have policy violated, different fields coming in from the alert. As an analyst, it's easier for me to look at these things. And then, of course, a playbook will run on top of each of these alerts. So because the alert is of this particular type, EC2 incident misconfig incident type, a playbook will be triggered automatically. First, we go ahead and check if an EC2 integration is enabled. So in Demisto, what we usually do is we have a product stack which is integrated, and we're using the native commands with these integrations. So for EC2, we're using EC2 commands. So we need to first check if the integration is enabled. And is there a policy to remediate? One more important thing which comes from Prisma Cloud is it also lets us know that if the policy is remediable or not. If it is, then we go ahead and try to update EC2 automatically. You can also set up some triggers, as in like auto update EC2. Right now it is set to no. If you want to set it to yes, it will update automatically, or an email will be sent, or a Slack message could be sent to a guy or the owner of this particular instance if he wants or she wants to auto remediate this particular thing. And if they say yes, no over here, and this particular input, a sub playbook will run automatically. As we saw on the slide before, that depending on the case of or depending on the incident type, we can run particular sub playbooks. So right now this is of security groups incident type. So this playbook will start running, and you can see the set of actions that were taken. Have different checks, of course. As for IAM, you had 9 different policies that you could remediate. In this particular sub playbook, you have, again, n number of policies that you can remediate, or alert types, you can call it. So you first get security group details. There's a command EC2 describe security group instances, which is used inside Demisto, and you can find the relevant information, of course, again. Based on that, you execute specific remediation in Demisto. So you have three different type of checks here. One is for default security group, the other one is for public traffic running through your ports, and then the third one is permissive, which is, say your security group is overly permissive, and you just revoke the public security groups. Just a simple way of automating your or making your infrastructure airtight and revoking the ingress rules that were actually allowing traffic, internet traffic to your instance. So you, after revoking the public security rules, you can see the inputs over here. You can actually configure whatever port information you want, IP permissions you want. And using these inputs, you can revoke ingress rules. And after this, you can check the latest security group information, changes that were made on this particular instance. And then, of course, once this playbook runs, sub playbook runs, the incident is closed automatically. You can see it here. And this happens for all the incident types. We've just covered IAM and EC2 today. Two policies, easy to understand, relatable, of course, but of course, this could be done for many other use cases. And let's now talk about it. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Prasan. Great demo. So, what we showed you today was how we can use Demisto to effectively remediate simple misconfiguration or hygiene issues that you may have in the public cloud. And we can further extend this even to incidents where anomalies are detected. So, for example, if we take the case of access key compromise or port scan, port sweep, let's say Prisma Cloud discovers an anomaly on